much right now. What I did want to highlight though is our essential questions, because you're going to need that for this afternoon. So the essential questions again are these 4 ideas, and one is what comprises the unseen world and why is it invisible? Okay, and there was one question that fit into that, although there are others that we could put into that as well. How do particles I cannot see affect the world? And actually, these are actually 2 kind of sort of subset. The second question is a subset of the second one, and that is, or the third question is a subset of the second one, and that is how does the unseen world impact human health? Those could probably go together, and a lot of our questions kind of came under that. And then on the back, the last piece, the 4th one, we have how do we apply the principles of scale to help us learn about the unseen.
The question about what part of the world is invisible to us, to me, is really important, because I think that as a generic truth for being a human, we have a very limited perspective, and it's not only not perceiving the very, very small parts that are around us, but also what we are a part of in the larger context and how we affect one another.
I think we tend to think of our bodies as whole pieces or maybe large parts, but maybe we never consider that at the cellular level that there are so many things happening that we don't see because of scale and because of the limitations of the human eye and the human capacity of sight. We don't often think of protecting what's happening at that level so that we can achieve health.
The unseen world is most of life, because most of the things that make life happen are at a microbial or microscopic level, and this picture to me shows that. There's so much going on in this plant and so many parts that I can't see, that if they weren't there, the plant wouldn't be there. And it's invisible because my eye has limitations.
The reason I chose this is because out on the mud flats of the back cove, when the tide goes down, as you're walking, you see these very small worm-like creatures ducking down into the mud with every step that you take. And I couldn't really figure out what they were when I was out there.
When we put them under a microscope, it turned out they didn't really look like worms at all. In fact, they looked more like insects or small crustaceans, because they had eyes and little feelers and a giant single pincer at their head.
I chose an image that was done with the transmission electron microscope, and the magnification is 54,100x, which is pretty amazing. Not exactly sure what these organelles are, but pretty sure that they may be chloroplasts. And the reason, of course, this is invisible is that these structures, and to see in this detail, it's not possible with the wavelength of light.
The unseen world is comprised of many things, more than can be described in 30 seconds. My image shows spring structures within a celery sample. To the naked eye, the celery sample was almost transparent and looked as if it were made of water. Magnified 400 times, it showed these little structures that appeared to be like springs. This image shows that the invisible world is not invisible, it's just waiting to be seen.
At this magnification, this plant stem looks like a delicately woven pattern of circles. These circles are actually plant structures called xylem and phloem, which the plant uses to transport water and nutrients. Without these important structures, our world would be without plants, which are essential and the base of almost every food web.
I felt it was important for students to make distinctions based on data and other observed data, whether statistical, etc. And I looked at these granules, and it struck me how sugar looked far more edible than the Splenda, which sort of prompted the question that I posed on the picture, which is, you decide what you want to put in your your body based on these pictures. Hello, Mana. Hello, Fauna. Here we are at Camp Stomata. Respiration is life-sustaining. We'll be open when it stops raining. Hello, carbon dioxide. Hello, water. We recycle important matter. Respiration is life-sustaining. We'll be open when it stops raining. Goodbye oxygen, goodbye water. We'll exchange important matter. Respiration is life-sustaining. We'll be open when it stops raining.
I have in front of me a picture of a banana cell magnified 400 times, and it's connected to some blob that I don't know what it is, but you can see the starch granules in the banana cell, and I used it to address the question, how does the unseen world impact human health? Because obviously everything that we eat and ingest impacts our health, and bananas in a relatively positive way, but there's so much that you can't see with the eye that goes into what's happening inside your body.
Fleas are still quite an issue in disease transmission all over the world. Not quite as much in our country, where it did lead me to do some research, because once I found the image I was intrigued, and I didn't have a large knowledge of fleas, so I went to the CDC website and I looked up a couple things. And we have up to 40 cases a year of disease transmission due to fleas. In other countries, it's still quite an epidemic, and there could be up to 3,000 cases from infected fleas.
My image is a cross-section of a celery slice that I shaved off a piece of celery. I found it very fascinating. It's at 40 acts. I could see the different cell structures in it, which I thought was very interesting. I liked the way that they were layered on top of each other and kind of the circular patterns they formed. The highlighted, measured image is one of those strands that runs through the celery that you're always cutting through and pulling out of your teeth. It's 1.2 millimeters.
Is it a face winking at you? A mountainous landscape? The surface of the moon? Or a planet? One would never know it is a 2,500 times magnification of a lettuce leaf using the SEM microscope. It shows an open and closed stoma. The stoma regulates the amount of water in the leaf. When it is closed, it holds the water in. When it's open, it is either taking in water or letting excess water out.
This is a BI magnified at 4200x, and I chose it because it shows depth and it shows scale, and I could use this picture or similar ones to demonstrate how magnification can change what you know to something that is seemingly unknown or looks like something else.